Hello, my name is Grin, and this is my beard. Today's crumb I'm pulling out of my beard is going to be about, since I'm on the subject, technology in Japan and high tech or computers in Japan and the crazy pricing that you're going to find for computer parts and accessories. It's not pretty. So I was talking the other day about how in 2 years I get to buy the computer that I want to buy and replace this 8-year old X99 computer that I built myself. Now, the biggest problem I've found during the COVID-19 era, there was a lot of weird pricing, especially on things like RAM and whatnot. But you could find good products. You could find, a decent motherboard and you could there were plenty of decent uh, processors that you could find to buy, AMD or Intel. That's kind of not the case anymore. A lot of the motherboards now are just bloated nonsense or completely inadequate. There's like no mid level. It's either you get a board that does the least it has to do, or you get a board that does everything and everything that you don't want it to do as well. And the price difference is going to be from $50 to $500, and there's very little in between that has the features that you want or the abilities or connections that you want or whatever. Now, going along with that, fine. The products available suck, not as good as they used to be, but the pricing is just ridiculous. Um, Specifically here in Japan. Whereas, like let's say you want to buy a GPU, say you want to buy an NVIDIA RTX 4080, what is it, Super now? 4080 Super is retail price at $1,000, but here in Japan, you're gonna spend twice that for the same thing. Well, it seems like twice that. It's more like 1.5 times that because the Japanese yen is so weak right now. It's like 140 yen to the dollar, whereas 3 years ago it was, or 4 years ago it was, almost 100 yen to the dollar. So 1 cent was 1 yen. Now it's not like that anymore. Now 1 cent is more like a 1.5 yen. So pricing is just ridiculous. And I get some things. And this isn't only about tech, but I get some things where, it costs money to ship it here to Japan, especially if they're shipping a lot of it. Actually, it's probably better to ship a lot of it, but unless it's a really in demand item, they're not going to ship a lot of it. And then the prices are just going to be really, really high. So import products are just exorbitantly expensive. And there's no manufacturing here in Japan for those kinds of things. There's It's just not there. And it's weird to me because we live really close to, you know, um, China, not China, Taiwan. Taiwan. We live really close to Taiwan, right north of us. So why can't we get, chips and whatnot at a decent price? They don't have to ship it so far. Well, I think most of that is going to the United States, then being assembled in the United States and then coming to Japan. I remember a time where most of the things would be, assembled in Taiwan or in Japan and then shipped to the States. That used to be kind of the way it was, but it's just not the way it is now. And this goes with anything. Let's say I wanted to buy pickles. Not really high tech, but pickles, if you want Japanese pickles, really cheap. But if you want to buy, actual cucumber pickles, then you're going to end up paying 5 times as much as they should be. And some prices are just they blow my mind. Like an orange. You want to buy an orange? Okay, that's $2. I don't know what it is in the States, but it just seems $2 is a little bit expensive for an orange. Um, and then you have crazy things for like fruit, which should be like a watermelon for $100. One watermelon, $100. What? Doesn't make sense to me. What they do with the pricing here in Japan and why certain things are expensive and certain things aren't. Like I said, some things being shipped and whatnot, I get it. During the COVID-19 um, pandemic, there was, you know, few a few things available, few tech things available, and it was supply and demand, so the prices went up. But now that's kind of gone, but it's still the prices are still going up. Um, 3 years ago, I could buy a 3080 graphics card for maybe 10% more than I would buy it in the States. But now it's about 180% more for the same thing, for the same equivalent. And so if you're gonna buy stuff in Japan, might even be better to like buy all your stuff and then have it shipped to Japan. But there's the other thing. Shipping to Japan has become way more difficult than it used to be. My mother sends me or tries to send me stuff for my kids for their birthday or for Christmas, and just the cost of a small box for shipping is it's ridiculous. She wanted to send like some toys and maybe a book or something like that, and just to ship it here was like $50. It's really exorbitant. It's gotten more and more expensive. Too much. It's too much. It seems too much too fast. Seems like people are just trying to milk the system and gain profits that are dubious at best. And there's not really a good option, even buying used, because the prices of stuff is so expensive now. Used products also have gone way up. Like uh, like I said, the GTX or RTX 4080, uh, you can't really buy one for less than $1,000 here in Japan. The 3080, the 3080, you can't buy for less than $1,000, even if it's used. It's hard to find one, and if you do find one, it's going to be like on an auction site, and it's going to be gone instantly, almost instantly. Um, it's not a good market for things right now, and things are just the economy is just not it's struggling. The economy is struggling. If you just want Japanese things, it's great. But if you want anything from the States or that isn't Japanese, it's going to be way more expensive than it needs to be. And then there's the Chinese knockoff nonsense. Have you ever heard of China smell? China smell is the smell that any product that you get from Japan has. It's like an oily, greasy kind of smell, and it's right away when you smell that. Oh, this is something made in China. And they have a name for it. It's China smell. Chigoku no nioi. Mm. It's a lot of the products that you can get. Okay, here's an example. I bought my wife bought a star projector for my kids. It's just real basic things. It's got some films and in a little like round box type thing that's clear, and inside is some LEDs, and it shines the LED inside the box, which projects the images onto the ceiling and wall. And yeah, it came with China smell. And it seemed like a really good product, except for as it's moving, it's really noisy. And over time, it just stopped spinning. I mean, if you force it to spin, it'll spin for a little bit and then it stops. It just slowly. And I opened it up to try to see if there was some gunk in there or something slowing it down. No, it's just the motor is too inefficient and it's losing its efficiency over time. Um, the it, I actually okay. This is kind of neat how this thing works. When it gets the power, it moves in a certain way. But if you actually force the motor to move the opposite direction, then it creates electricity and it will start lighting up the indicator lights. that was that was interesting. I hope I didn't ruin it by doing that. Put more than 5 volts through it, and it'll destroy the transistors or connections or whatever. So yeah, things are not great for high tech economy here in Japan. It's it's way too expensive. Things are just not good. I thought, okay, when the coronavirus drought of electronics happened, I was like, okay, just wait a few years and things will get better. And instead of things getting better, it just got worse. And most of that, I think, is just greed, corporate greed. Whereas instead of building a, like, for say, as an example, instead of building a motherboard with the things that the average person would want, they create these steps where it's like you can get a basic motherboard for the for nobody would really want to use it for anything other than maybe a NAS or something like a network address storage. But if you want something that has the features that you really want, then you have to be an overclocker. And if you're gonna do overclocking, then you gotta pay a huge amount of money, I guess. That's the way it's supposed to be for some strange reason. I don't overclock my computer at all, but I'd like to have, an LED inside of it to tell me if there's an error or something like that. Or I'd like it to beep postcodes so that I can, troubleshoot things like that. And 8 years ago, when I bought this MSI Gaming 7 motherboard, it had all that stuff and it wasn't too expensive. But now, if you want the same thing, you're going to have to spend about 4 or 5 times the amount of money just to get those simple things in there. It's been really nice to fix this computer when it breaks because it comes up with a code. It's got a little, like a digital display, like an old clock display, and it gives you a code, and you can check the code on the code uh, book and see what's happening or what's not happening or where it's stuck. Really nice. But if you want that now, you got to spend $500, and it's to the point where it's like the corporate structure and the marketing is all about the making money, and with that compounded with how expensive it is to import things into Japan and how the economy is just going down and the yen is the value of the yen is going down. Everything is just super expensive right now. Anyways, that's what was on my beard. Things are really expensive now and getting worse, and corporate greed is always a detriment to everyone except the corporate people. Hoping things get better, and maybe it'll get to a point where the corporations will start having some actual repercussions, consequences for their greedy actions. I just don't have any faith in that happening. We'll see. That's what was on my beard. Bye now.